Before this video gets started, I just wanted to say thank you to all channel members for supporting the channel. It truly means a lot. If you want to become a channel member, hit the link down in the description. Now, let's get on with today's video.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Pineapple Sway here. Today I'm going to be giving my final thoughts on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I'm going to be going over a lot of different things today, so just kind of bear with me. But if you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. First things first that we're going to go over is the overall anticipation for this game. I waited such, a long time for this game, and I was really excited. The anticipation just built and built and built. And it was really difficult when this game would get delayed and delayed and delayed. As most of you guys know, it was originally meant to come out in 2022. Then it was May 2023, and then they finally settled with February of 2024. Although, from the beginning, I really looked forward to this game. I wasn't really hyped about it until I found out that Batman was going to be in the game. That was really one of my biggest things for the game that I was looking forward to, was just seeing the return of Kevin Conroy's character as Batman. And I think a lot of people can agree to that point, that it was just cool to see him back in the Arkhamverse after Arkham Knight. Although in Arkham Knight, I never really viewed as his character to be dead in that universe. I had a feeling that Batman was still alive. It was just cool, to get that confirmation, like, oh wow, he's back. But I knew the game was definitely going to struggle and have a tough time when, after that third big delay. Obviously, we didn't really know what was going on at Rocksteady Studios at the time, but it's just, when games get such big delays like that, you can only assume for the worst, and that development just had to be such a big problem for them. And knowing too that Sefton and Jamie did leave Rocksteady around late 2022, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's just, you knew the problems were starting to stack. Although I don't blame Rocksteady Studios and I don't blame the development team. It's just my anticipation. Although I was greatly looking forward to this game, I kind of was looking at it from a realistic standpoint. Like, this game may not be a great success like what the Arkham games were. Next, speaking of success, I want to talk about YouTube. Obviously, I really only uploaded this game because I kept uploading this game because I enjoyed it. I've been uploading this game for an entire year, or almost 2 years, almost. I have videos dating back to 2023. And, it's crazy that how much time has already passed. But, YouTube was really a big part of this game, or for me. I finally just kind of found, a good community to upload and play this game and just have a really fun time. It's cool, meeting every single one of you guys, and it's cool to sort of share my thoughts and opinions on a platform such as YouTube. And it's just crazy how much this game changed my life in terms of YouTube, because of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it led to me getting many opportunities that I never thought was possible with YouTube. And now here I am because of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And, it just, like what I said, just with such a great group of a community. When I first started uploading this game, I had a lot of difficulty uploading videos because, like what I mentioned, in times past, I was called like a shill. I would receive death threats, believe it or not, and just other bad things that weren't related towards the game but towards me as a person. And I know myself better than anyone, but I stuck with it. I didn't quit on myself, and I'm really glad to see where the channel is now compared to when this game first came out. When I first started uploading Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. But now let's move on to the more important stuff, my actual final thoughts of the game. So yeah, this is gonna be a little bit of a long video, but I'm gonna put some chapters in just so you guys have an idea of where to basically skip to and whatnot. But let's talk about the core game. The core game, honestly, it's definitely flawed. It's not perfect by all means, but I enjoyed it. I love the gameplay. I thought it was really cool being able to finally experience a universe and game where you are the villains, you are the bad guys, getting a different perspective. It was cool to know that we were taking on the Justice League and Brainiac, although at the time I had many theories. I never really thought that we were going to kill the Justice League. I thought it was going to be more of the lines we were going to save them in the core story, but which I will talk about the story here soon. But the core game, knowing that it's a live service looter shooter, I think had a lot of good things, and but it also had a lot of bad things. Um, just my most favorite thing about this game, the best thing that I liked about this game was definitely the gear. I would say the gear system was, I would say, outmatched. It was very good, programmed really well, and was absolutely incredible. Just reading through all the different items, seeing all the different items, and just experiencing what you could put together once you found that perfect loadout, and just this the saddest, facting feeling, or I can't even talk, but just that satisfying feeling of when you find all that great gear and put it all together. The gear was my favorite thing about this game, and it's something that really kept me going and pushing for more because I wanted to get better gear and I wanted to make better loadouts. And like what I said, I just had such a great time with it. I love the traversals of each individual character, except Lawless. But the traversals, the gear, there was a lot of good about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but there was also a lot of bad. At times with the gunplay, the characters all felt the same. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Characters, the only thing that made them different was their traversals, I will say. The gunplay didn't help. If the characters had different things to make them unique, I think it would have helped the game and bring them a long way. Although I'm not necessarily not on the line of Captain Boomerang needs to just strictly use his boomerangs and Harley needs to just strictly use her hammer. I definitely think guns were a necessity in this game because step back for a minute, think realistically. The Suicide Squad are taking on the Justice League and Brainiac. They're going to obviously need some heavy firepower to take them on. A wooden boomerang is going to do nothing against the Man of Steel. Just think about that for a second. I just wish they could have made the guns a little bit different, or maybe some different things to sort of diversify the combat. Although their skill trees, talent trees, whatnot, did make them unique to some capacity. From the core, the characters are really the exact same. You're basically using grenades and guns. It's just a matter of how they traverse. If characters offered something a little bit more unique, I think it would have went a long way for the game and it would have helped it out tremendously. Like what I said, like Deadshot has a jetpack, so that makes him unique. Harley's able to swing around. Shark can jump from point to point, and then Boomerang has the Speed Force Gauntlet or the Speed Force Boomerang or whatever. And then same thing with the other characters. So yeah, that was my biggest flaw with the core game is that the characters just felt the same, and there wasn't enough diverse characteristics to make them feel different. They all just felt the same. Next is the story. Honestly, a lot of people don't like this story, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a fun adventure, especially if you had four friends. I played the story with four friends from start to finish, and I had a blast. And then the DLC story, which I don't even know if I would consider a story, I just played with one of my original squad members, and we enjoyed it for the most part. We thought it was a lot of fun going back and forth from and taking out the different Brainiacs each season, but I'll talk about that later. Base story, like what I said, was a lot of fun. It was a fun adventure building up and taking on the Justice League, but the biggest flaw with the story was that it lost a lot of depth after chapter 3. From chapter 1 to chapter 3, it is amazing, and you can clearly see it's Rocksteady at their prime. There's a lot of build-up, there's a lot of anticipation, and there's a lot of just good to the first 3 chapters. And I think what hurt the game the most is a lot of people like to say it's a big nothing burger, which is entirely true because if we look back to the beta, or the closed alpha, if you will, the closed alpha was basically the first 3 chapters. Everything we got in the closed alpha was the best part of the game, and I hate to admit that, but that's entirely true. In the closed alpha, you see the Batman experience, you get to meet the Flash, you get to meet Green Lantern, and you get to see Green Lantern at the stadium, you get introduced to Wonder Woman. There's so many good things in the closed alpha. And then once you get to the main story, all of this cool stuff that we were introduced to in the alpha is kind of forgotten about, and it's rushed. Obviously, we all know that the story was written and changed constantly, but it's just difficult to see that there was so much depth in the first 3 chapters, but then chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, the chapters get a lot shorter, the missions are a lot shorter, the missions are also a lot more repetitive and repeating, and it just kind of falls flat. We're reaching the climax of the game and we're getting to the rising action portion, but it never really reaches that climax. It kind of just stays at a standstill. And even though we're killing, members of the Justice League, it doesn't really feel like there's any build up to it. It just kind of sits there, and once it's done, it's done. And knowing now that they were cloned the entire time, it kind of just kills that feel that a lot of this was kind of pointless and could have all been avoided. Especially too with the death of Wonder Woman. Although I still believe Wonder Woman is alive, they just didn't have time to finish it. It kind of makes her death feel meaningless, and it just kind of makes characters feel meaningless, like the development of characters. Like, I really wanted a game where we save the Justice League and they have to live with the fact of what they did. The horrors of killing millions of innocent civilians, like Superman having to live with the fact that he basically slaughtered millions in his city and destroyed his city. But now, because they're clones, it will just be forgotten about. But that's also a matter too of, the game wasn't a success. The game didn't do well. So it really just it is what it is. But like what I said, I enjoy the story. I thought it was a lot of fun. Now let's talk to about the gameplay. The gameplay gets repetitive after a while, but it is fun. It's fun for a little bit, but then it gets really, really repetitive. And like what I mentioned, the with the characters not really being diverse, it doesn't help. It doesn't help with the gameplay. And the missions, there needed to be a lot more mission variety. There needed to just be a lot more when there just wasn't. You get tired of escort missions and defending the point and then capture the flag, or not capture the flag, but the capture the point mode. It gets tiresome after a while. And, destroy incubators. You can only do it so many times before you're just like, man, is there any other mission variety? And it kind of just stays the same in the gameplay. And then we have like the Ivy missions and the different incursions on the Elseworlds. It just got really repetitive after a while. But through the gameplay, I still have fun. I still enjoy it. I love the fast movement, and it's truly something different. And it's really satisfying once you finally master a traversal of a certain character and you're able to go from point A to point B in just a snap of a finger. It's really good, and it's smooth. A lot of people don't like to give Rocksteady credit, but it is smooth as butter. Next is Arkham canon. This has been a big argument. This game is canon to the Arkhamverse, whether we like it or not. Are they going to retcon it? Definitely, but I don't think they're going to expand upon the Arkham story. I think it's time to put the Arkham universe to bed because of just everything that's happened. I think what they're going to do next is basically start from scratch with an entirely new universe and a new Batman to lead the way. Maybe he still will have that term of Arkham Batman, but it's just we have to accept the fact that, hey, this is canon to the Arkhamverse, whether we like it or not. Yes, does it feel like a slap into to the face to many Arkham fans? I would say no, but people will disagree with me. It's just really an unfortunate situation. They wanted to expand upon the Arkhamverse, but I feel like they took too much of a leap to expand upon the Arkhamverse. They should have started with the Superman game and started small and then expand, not jumping all the way to the Suicide Squad, Justice League, and Brainiac. It just doesn't fit well. Next are the characters. I love the characters. I love the Justice League. I love the Suicide Squad. I love Brainiac. I think they're all cool. The characters is what really kind of brings this game to life. And seeing that we have such great voice actors for the Justice League and the Suicide Squad and Brainiac, it really puts this game together. And every time the Justice League and Brainiac were on the screen, they really steal the show. Like what I said, I don't have a problem with any of the characters in this game. I love them all, and I think they're all amazing, and they all did a fantastic job in terms of just delivering a really good performance, a good cinematic performance. And it was a lot of fun to meet all these characters, see all these characters in this beautiful universe, in this beautiful world, and just sort of watch it all come together. Especially too, like Scott Porter killed it as Flash. Kevin Conroy was amazing as Batman. Just a lot of good from these voice actors. And just, yeah, I love the characters. Sure, characters could have been written differently. Sure, characters could have done this, should have done that. But in all, I love the characters. I love the characters. Next, let's talk about the live service elements. like what I said, superhero games and live service just don't mix. We saw it with Avengers. Why would it work with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Hopefully, after seeing Avengers flop and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League flop, hopefully companies start to learn that, hey, these games just don't work. Superhero games and live service games just don't mix. It doesn't work. It'll never work. It needs to stop. Um, and knowing that live service elements, they basically drip feed you until the end or until they shut down. It's just a system that just doesn't work. Next is the in-game store, battle pass, and microtransactions. I actually love the microtransactions in this game. A little bit. I would say skins should have ranged from $1 to $5, and then maybe the premium skin packs be $10. I never agreed with the $20 skins, but because I was a content creator, I bought the skins. So yeah, I did spend a lot of money on this game, but the battle passes were amazing. It was very innovative that once you buy them, they don't expire. Although people like to argue, well, technically Halo Infinite did that first, but there's still a lot of games that follow the battle pass system and still don't have something like that. But, it's also like if you buy something, you should freely have the right to own it. You should be able to hold on to it forever. And Suicide Squad, not only did they make the battle passes easy to complete, you can complete them literally in a day. Um, it's just once you buy them, you own them, you can go back to them at any time. And, you can earn just enough credits to buy the next battle pass or save up and buy a skin. Um, the in-game store was nice. It didn't really get good though until I would say season 2, season 3, and season 4 when they introduced the good skins. Season 0, season 1, the in-game store was horrible and it just wasn't all that good. But it was nice to see once they started adding like the Arkham outfits and other cool things to really drive in a player base. Next is the post-launch content. Not going to sugarcoat it, the post-launch content was bad, but that was because they had to stop production in March. So surely a lot of the stuff that they had originally planned, it just didn't work out. I wish things could have went different for them, in terms of post-launch content, and I wish that there was a lot more better about the post-launch content. But I can at least be satisfied, like, hey, we got to see the return of Green Lantern, we got to see the return of the Flash. It was really cool. I wish we could have seen the return of Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman like it was originally planned, but at least we got a little bit of what could have been. And like what I said, it was really nice going from boss fight to boss fight and knocking out each Brainiac one by one. I wish it could have been a little bit different in terms of pacing, but like what I said, it was still a fun adventure and a nice little journey. The DLC characters were just bad, in my opinion. Bringing back Joker. Joker was really just more, I think, just to bring in a player base. Since Joker is the most popular character in DC, he's recognizable everywhere. It just wasn't good, though. A lot of people already had problems bringing back Joker from a universe where Joker is dead. In the Arkhamverse, I just always viewed Mark Hamill to be Joker, so it was weird having another Joker, but I don't mind him as a character, but I know a lot of people made a big uproar about it. Miss Freeze just wasn't good because everyone tried to bring up the woke ideology because Miss Freeze was a lesbian, but honestly, it's just like, who really cares? None of that stuff really matters. Lawless, I mean, same thing. The only good DLC character, in my opinion, was Deathstroke. Um, yeah, that's really all I'm going to touch upon DLC characters because I'm not really trying to talk about stuff that I shouldn't on YouTube. Now, let's talk about the game's ending. The ending we all know was not great, but the Squad and the Justice League are now on to the multiverse and they get to take on, I guess maybe a multiversal threat. I really don't know. They've moved on to undo all of what Brainiac has done. The ending is definitely a weird one to say the least because they introduced the idea of Lex Luthor running for Congress. The Superman's golden statue in Metropolis gets replaced by Wonder Woman, and we get to see the return of the League. But what makes it worse is it's a motion comic, and that's just what they had to roll with because obviously they just didn't have the budget, they just didn't have the money to justify actual CG cutscenes anymore. And it sucks knowing that Kevin Conroy was meant to have some voice lines in this final season, but we just didn't get to see it through.
I heard rumors that his voice lines were cut due to his passing, so that's just what I'm gonna assume, but I'm not gonna make any claim on that because there's really nothing to prove it. But the ending, it really just it is what it is. We knew it was gonna be bad. We wish that it could have went different, but the game wasn't a success. They had to stop production in March. WB basically forced their hand on Rocksteady. Rocksteady also had to split up into different divisions to work on different projects. So, they had the interns finishing up this final portion of the game. So it's just whatever they had finished, they just had to reuse. Although I will say the ending boss fight was cool and a lot of fun, especially getting to have the Flash and Green Lantern help you in that fight. Although it's clear that it was intended that the full Justice League was supposed to be there to help you in that final battle. But in all, there has been a lot of bad about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but there's also been a lot of good. And I could say that I thoroughly enjoyed my time playing this game, and I look forward to their next game. Hopefully, it comes out in 2 to 3 years, and we can just kind of put this behind us now and forget about it. Although I've enjoyed it, I know this game has caused a lot of people to, just get upset and just a ton of stupid stuff, but it's over now. You don't have to engagement farm to get clicks or hate on developers anymore. It's over now. It's something that we can just put to bed, and we'll look back on it 10 years from now and be like, oh man, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, remember that game? That game was crazy because blah 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 blah. So it is what it is. I look forward to Rocksteady's next game. I think they'll knock it out of the park, in all honesty, knowing that they'll have better leadership, and hopefully WB just lets them do what they're known for, and that's making single player story based games. Um, like what I said, I can go on all day about wishing how this game could have went, should have went, would have been, but there's no point in that anymore. It's time to put this game behind us and just say, although this game was a lot of fun for some people, although a lot of people didn't like this game, we can finally say, hey, it's over now. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy this video. These are my final thoughts on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's been an interesting journey. It's been a lot of fun, and I plan to continue to bring you guys more content related to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for quite some time because I have enjoyed this game, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it, although it's technically over now. But like what I said, it feels like it's really only just began. But anyways, this is Pineapple Sway. I'll see you guys next time.